Well, it's right at 7 o'clock, and of course, my dogs start barking. Welcome, everyone. My name is Dr. Guy Lotracchiano, and I'm here with Dr. Daisy Lee. And we're very excited about starting the semester. We have started the semester, but having tonight to meet all of you and see you face to face. Hold on one second. Pearl. Hey, Pearl. Pearl. It never fails. Once I start talking, they start barking. Tonight, we wanted a chance for all of us to get to see each other, if not in person, virtually. And this is really exciting for us because this is the first time we are going to have both the first year students from the PhD in Translational Health Sciences joining the second year students from the PhD in Nursing. This is new for us. You probably have noticed over the past week, we went back and forth with syllabus and groups and all that stuff because things kept changing on us. The number of people and who was going to be a part of this class, but we think we've got it under control now. So without much more ado, I want to let Dr. Lee introduce herself. We'll take a few moments just to go around the room and say hi and who we are, what we do, where we're from. Daisy, would you like to start us off?
Sure, no problem. So, hey everyone, I'm Dr. Daisy Lee. I am an assistant a professor, tenure track in the School of Nursing. I started at GW about a year ago now. I'm really excited to be in the DC area officially. Before that, I did my postdoc at Hopkins and did my PhD in behavioral and community health at the University of Maryland. I'm originally from California. Born and raised in San Francisco, then spent the majority of my graduate degree in Los Angeles at UCLA. Most of my research is in health disparities and oncology, employing community-engaged research methods. I do mixed methods, and most of the communities I work with have been African American, Asian Pacific Islander, and Latino population. In terms of cancer, I work a lot in colorectal, prostate, and cervical cancer, and my current projects are on HPV and cervical cancer in women living with HIV.
Thank you. This is the first time the two of us are teaching together, and it's been wonderful so far. So we're going to have a good time this semester. Do we want to quickly go through the room? Maybe the easiest way is I'll just call on you because I see all your pictures, and we'll make sure we get everyone in. Mina, you're the first person up at the top of my screen. So go for it. Say maybe what program you're from, a little bit about yourself, and what your interests are.
Yeah. So hello, everyone. My name is Mina Yusuf. I am in the Translational Health Sciences program. I'm based out of Port Chester, New York, about 30 minutes from New York City. Professionally, in my day-to-day, I'm a global trial operations manager for a CRO biotech company. So I conduct clinical trials, right? So it kind of falls into our T2 space. And my interests are really trying to make those trials more efficient for the industry in the sense of getting it to the right patients and making it more inclusive, because right now I feel there's a big access issue, especially in the underprivileged communities. And I hope through this program, I would be able to really help bridge that gap a little bit and explore it further.
Thank you. Great. Welcome.
Thank you.
Sarah?
Yeah, hi, I'm Sarah Beebe, and I'm in the nursing PhD program. I'm based in Wilmington, Delaware, and by trade, I am a nurse midwife and a nurse practitioner. However, I left practice about 3 years ago I taught full-time in a nursing program here in Delaware, and then decided to go back for my PhD. So, so my area of interest is actually in nursing education and simulation, using simulation in in nursing and medical education, and specifically in advanced practice nursing. So NPs, midwives, CRNAs, all of those.
Great. Thank you. Welcome. Anna Lynn?
Hi, my name is Anna Lynn Velasquez. I live in South Florida. I am a neonatal nurse practitioner, and I'm part of the nursing research PhD program. My area of interest is currently, if online support groups will help parents alleviate post-discharge stress once they leave the NICU. Hello.
Nice. Thank you. Welcome. Nina. I forgot already.
Can you hear me?
Yes. And is it Nina
Hi.
or Nina? I forgot already.
Hi.
Nina, welcome.
Yes. Thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm in the Translational Health Science program. I'm actually based right outside of Toronto, Ontario, in Canada, in Brampton. Really, my areas of research is of interest is exploring inefficiencies and the barriers in implementing, all this research that we do into healthcare practice. I do have an interest in exploring barriers in recruitment of minorities in clinical trials, just making sure that all the trials that we do are minorities are well represented, so that when we are putting it into practice, it's actually they're well represented, and it's actually something that will work for minorities as opposed to doing a one size fits all. So really healthcare disparities and anything clinical trials. In my day-to-day, I'm a clinical trial operations manager, so I do a lot of process, systems, policies. So that's really kind of where I still want to go into, and this fits right into it.
Excellent. Great. Welcome. Jen Davis?
Hi, thank you. My name is Jen Davis. I'm based in Washington, D.C. My practice setting is very similar to Mina's. I'm also in the Translational Health Sciences program, and I'm a clinical operations manager at a global CRO. So I have operational oversight for a large portfolio of clinical trials, mostly phase 2 and 3. My research interest is in de-risking clinical trial protocols through patient engagement, with the goal of making our clinical trials more representative of the real world patient experience, and hopefully therefore a better predictor of how products will perform in the general population. So very excited to be here and to see everybody.
Great. Thank you. Welcome. Hannah Wand?
Hi everyone, I'm Hannah. I'm a cardiovascular genetic counselor. So I see patients with inherited predispositions to heart disease. I also wear a hat where I'm a project manager for a NIH consortium that's looking at clinical genetics and trying to curate the clinical relevance of the genome. So I have a little bit more project and research oversight under that hat, and more of the clinical oversight then within my care team at Stanford. So I guess my interests are really thinking about population screening programs and how we actually implement them and have people adhere to them. Along with that, kind of thinking about health disparities, especially from a genetics perspective of not trying to increase disparities by doing things like precision medicine that often only benefit white populations. I'm still kind of figuring out what question within there I'd want to focus on, but that's my general area.
Thank you very much, Hannah. Welcome. Jamie or Min? Do we go by Jamie or Min?
Hi, yes, you can call me Jamie.
Okay.
So I'm in the second year nursing PhD program. I'm based in Northern Virginia. near the campus. I have a background working as a pediatric nurse practitioner. I'm working as a research assistant at the School of Nursing. I worked with Dr. Lee. I'm interested in health disparities, children's health, and currently my research area of interest is in HPV and cancer prevention.
Nice. All right. Thank you, Jamie. Michelle Clausen.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle. I'm in the School of Nursing PhD program, and I am a certified nurse midwife as well. I work for GW and University of Maryland as a midwife, and my main areas of interest is in maternal health, women's health. I'm really interested in birth interventions and outcomes, trauma-informed care, group prenatal care, and just GYN care as well.
Very good. Thank you, Michelle. Welcome. And here we go. Tell me if I have this right. Callian? You're muted. You're muted. There you go.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Kalyan, and I work in the pharmaceutical industry. I do drug development program management. So I am here with a lot of curiosity to learn how all the things that different people work on are ultimately reaching patients, and what some of the barriers to be able to affect that are. I bring a background in operations management and chemical engineering, and very much looking forward to learning through this program and figuring out what question I'd like to work on.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Welcome. Apple?
Hi, everyone. My name is Apple Sepulveda. I'm here in Los Angeles, currently in Los Angeles. I'm a pediatric occupational therapist. I work at a children's hospital in Los Angeles, been practicing for over 20 years. I'm particularly interested in health access and health disparities between maternal and child health. I'm very interested in this notion of a two-generation approach to care and all the disparities in parenting, the stressors that parents go through, and also the child. And so that in that way, I hope I can really define my research question along this process, but that is the area of interest. Thank you.
Very good. Welcome. Noelle.
Hi, I'm also, I'm Noelle Harrier. I'm a second-year nursing PhD student. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. That's why it's still light out. I am a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. I currently work in an inpatient hospital treating people who are on court-ordered evaluation for mental health treatment. My area of interest has kind of changed over the past year. I'm really interested in looking at the intersection of people with serious mental illness and cancer, or specifically also just mental health issues in cancer. There's some pretty decent literature out there that suggests that people who have mental health issues don't necessarily get the same screening opportunities or treatment in cancer. I also haven't quite figured out my question because it's a recent switch, so I'm still working on that and looking forward to working with you guys.
Thank you, Noelle. I just want to make an observation. Notice how all the second-year PhD students are saying, at the moment, this is my research question or interest, and the first-year students are like, this is what I'm going to do. We'll talk about that too. Sarah?
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah. I'm based out of the Washington, D.C. area. I'm part of the Translational Health Sciences program. I am the owner of a small public health consulting business. We do primarily program development, implementation, and dissemination. The focus is mostly around global health programs. We also do work with chronic disease advocacy organizations, primarily based here in the United States. And my area of interest is still pretty firmly within dissemination and implementation research. I'd like to, I was raised in Lima, Peru, and so I have a strong connection to the Latino community, both abroad as well as the immigrant community here. And so I'd like to focus on that topic area, though the particular research question I have not yet figured out. And I'm really interested in sort of simple, innovative, multi-sectoral approaches to health equity challenges.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Sarah. We have one of our students who's actually defending their dissertation, I think this week, excuse me, their dissertation proposal, who is from Colombia. So you might have a chance to meet him, one of our many doctoral students at THS. Pamjit?
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Everyone can hear?
Good. My name is Paramjeet. I'm here in New York, Long Island. I'm a physician assistant by trade, but I work for CMS, Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. I have different programs that I oversee. And I'm here at GW for Translation Health Science PhD program. Looking forward for this long journey and looking to learn from each other. And my area of interest is mostly public health policy at a federal level. How the different federal agencies working in their own zone, lack of communication between the agencies and so on. That's what I am here for. I'm looking forward to learn from this class. And I know it's going to be a lot to learn and share briefly what I look at the syllabus and listen to the other folks. Thank you.
Great, thank you. We'll try not to make your journey too long. We'll try to get you out of here in the next decade or less, so it won't be too long. Okay, everyone flipped around for some reason. Annalyn? I think I'm in order now.
You want me to go again?
No, that's what I thought. I was testing myself. Everyone flipped around. Okay. Let me just make sure someone moved around. Oh, it just happened again. Oh no. We had Sarah, Jacob, who I'm presuming is at work.
Actually, I'm on my phone.
Oh, this is a still shot. Oh, okay. I thought you were in a.
It's a still shot.
In a PL2 lab or something. I don't know where you were.
It was at work. It was at the height of the COVID epidemic when we were all issued PPE. That being said, I'm a nurse anesthetist in Richmond, Virginia. I work in the operating room and offsite anesthesia. I've been doing that for about 6 years. I was a bedside nurse and a nurse educator before that. I have a previous master's degree from George Washington in clinical research administration. It's a nursing degree in clinical research administration. My areas of interest are I don't know. As you know, my being a first year student, I guess I'm going to defy the stereotype and say I really don't know. I have multiple things that I've looked at as areas such as the intersection of smoking and the perception of pain, the use of enhanced recovery after surgery tools during surgery to make the patient's recovery as pleasant as it possibly could be. I've also interested in the use of offsite anesthesia for what would be traditionally operating room procedures in order to save the patient the distress of traveling to the operating room and save the hospital the cost of occupying an operating room at the same time. So those are kind of the avenues that I've always thought were fun to look at. And I'm looking forward to the, I'm sorry, and I didn't say what I was doing. I'm a PhD, THS PhD student.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Very good.
I'm looking forward to this this experience. So.
And this is not a quiz. You don't need to know today what you're going to be doing.
I'm
and our,
good, because if it were, I would fail miserably.
And as I said, the second year PhD students know a lot happens in your first year. A lot of things. I call it being attracted to shiny things. You sort of get excited in things and your eyes wander, which is a good thing. That means you're getting your money's worth for your tuition. A couple people left. Veronica, are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm here. Sorry, I had to hide my video because I was eating. My name is Veronica. I am in the THS program. My background is in clinical research. I've had various roles listed from protocol administration, protocol development to clinical trials monitoring, and then moved on to the project and program management, which is what I currently do. My areas of interest, it's mostly based on looking at factors that impact racial disparities, specifically focused in maternal mortality in African American women. But overall, in general, trying to see how we can improve the gaps from translating our findings in research into clinical care practice and gaining the trust of the communities and providing a level of healthcare service equally across the board.
Great, thank you. A lot of people, diversity, disparities, that sort of interest. Great. Michelle.
Hello. My name is Michelle Culp. I am in the THS program. My background, I am a nurse, but I haven't touched a patient in a lot of years, so I don't claim really to say that I'm a nurse anymore. I've spent most of my career in clinical operations management, working for various organizations, commercial, nonprofit, and for a lot of years with the government. I'm currently with the NIH. I'm working in the Office of Science Policy, so part of my interest there is in how we can translate policy into operations. Because we often set policy and then implement it, and there are some policies that I worked on a few years ago that I know that those of you who are working on federally funded research are working hard to make sure you're complying with. So there's an interest there. I'm also interested in engaging patients in the research and research design. I left the NIH for a short bit and worked in a very small foundation working with the National Patient-Centered Outcomes Research Network, or PCORNet, where I learned a lot about electronic health record research and patient engagement. So I have a keen interest in that area as well. And you know, what will be my research interest to be determined. Can't hear you, you're muted.
No. It was either me or the dogs barking. Welcome, and thank you very much for sharing that. And I believe Ashley is the last person. Ashley Dunn?
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley. I am based in California, the Bay Area. I actually am from Maryland, so I travel across the country. But currently, I am a program manager for an NIH Career Development Award, a KL2 award. And then I'm also a recruitment specialist looking at like how to integrate special populations into clinical translational research. And then I'm working with faculty on developing a rigor and reproducibility program at my institution. And I'm a part of the THS program. My area of interest, I know I want to look at pediatric chronic pain.
I'm interested in looking at pediatric chronic pain and adverse childhood experiences, seeing if there's a way to develop interventions to identify ACEs earlier in the treatment of pediatric chronic pain patients. And then a second area of interest for me is actually increasing the pathway of underrepresented and marginalized students in science and medicine. Looking at other training opportunities, developing education, didactic, stuff like that for faculty in that space, and early career investigators.
Great, thanks, Ashley. Ashley, what CTSI are you at?
I'm at Stanford.
Oh, Stanford. Okay, great, excellent. Okay, now of course, whenever we introduce ourselves, it takes up so much time, but I find it really important, especially now, because I can at least speak for myself. By now, the THS students and I would have spent a whole weekend together for orientation over the summer, and we're really sad we weren't able to bring you in for all of that good stuff, but I know you had somewhat of an orientation. We want to do anything we can to get to know each other. Let me just finish off the introductions and give you a little background about myself. I'm Guy Lotriciano, of course. I'm the course director of this course, and I'm, like I said, so pleased to be joined by Dr. Lee from nursing. This is my first, maybe Daisy's first, cross-school collaboration at teaching the same course. Not sure if that's true or not for Daisy. It's true for me, which is great. I am an associate professor of clinical research and leadership in the School of Medicine and Health Sciences, where the THS program is housed. I'm also the University Associate Dean for Innovative and Collaborative Pedagogy. I, for all practical purposes, run the University Teaching and Learning Center. That's a good part of my other hat that I wear. Of course, my area of interest is team science. The type of work that I do, some of my research is involved in motivations associated with collaboration. I also do work in transdisciplinary learning and transdisciplinary science. And I'm just now starting a new interest with some colleagues, one from Stanford, actually, for those of you who are connected to Stanford, on the moral imperative of collaboration to solve wicked global problems. So that's some of the stuff that I do. I've been teaching this course this will be the 5th year, ever since the beginning of the THS program. And I used to, but I don't do it anymore, I used to be responsible for getting all our doctoral students through comps and through to the other side, which is a proposal, defense, and research. I've lately been taking a little back step from some of my administrative responsibilities, but I am very happy to be here with you in this course. I think we're going to have a great time. We originally were going to meet till 8:30, but then I found out that the THS students, you have an 8 o'clock session with your other professors, Dr. McDonald and Sabrina Figueroa, I believe. Is that correct? It's at 8 o'clock?
Yeah.
Just a nod. Okay, good.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is sort of pick up the speed so we can sort of, get you through all the things we want you to know about the course. Of course, I don't have a hard stop at 8. If the nursing students have questions or whatever, we can continue to chat. But let me get going here so we can take you through this tour. As you probably know, you'll get to see our faces. I know Dr. Lee dropped a video for session 1. I just dropped a video for session 2 earlier today that sort of talks you through the course, talks you through a session. I want to make sure that we hit the things that I always know are important to students when we start a course. Let me just say, just generally, that what this course really hopefully accomplishes is two-pronged. One is, what is team science? Meaning, what does it mean to work, to do science in teams? But also, what is the science of team science? What do we learn from the studying of teams that helps us to do better science, do better research? It's a both ends sort of thing. And I know for some of you, especially with some of the topics I heard, you may even find that you lean towards using some of these principles and research techniques in your own work, especially those of you who have mentioned something about how to solve some sort of process question about how we get people to work better together, or how do we include patient engagement in research, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully, all of you with your various interests are going to be able to tap into one or both of those as you move forward and sort of sharpen your research pencil as you get more interested and more focused on your research. I'm not going to read everything out to you. I know everyone's interested in course deliverables because that's your sort of to-do list. And if you haven't had a chance here, you'll see we've outlined what the course deliverables are, and of course, each one and their description, which I'll go through in a minute. Okay. One thing that's always a little tricky in an online course is, for one reason or another, something's been typed wrong or overwritten or something. Those of you in the nursing program, I'm sure you've had this experience somewhere along the way where something just wasn't right. We are very thin-skinned. Please tell us so we can fix it, because sometimes a lot of hands touch these courses and something very obvious just passes us by. So on that note, I want to encourage everyone, when you have questions about the course, there's a thread here in the discussion board called General Course Questions. We encourage everyone to use it. There are no silly questions, so that your question can be answered and everyone gets the same answer. So we don't get 12 emails from different people asking the same question, and it also helps you just sort of communicate with each other too. If you're not used to Blackboard, I know the nursing students are definitely used to Blackboard. If you are new and you're still sort of fumbling around Blackboard, you can subscribe to a discussion thread. I'll show you how I got there. I just clicked on it. Okay. This one has nothing in it at the moment because no one's posted anything. And this button here, I would be unsubscribing, but I want to stay subscribed. Push that button, and anytime something goes into any thread you want, it could be that, it could be any thread for the whole semester, you will get an email to your email account, and it'll remind you that something's going on there. That comes in handy, especially when you're working with other people and you are providing information, or you're in a discussion room. I do it especially for the general course questions, because that means, oh, someone needs something and I can get to it right away. That way you're not waiting 24 hours for me to log on. It goes right to my phone. I can answer you. And I try to answer those sorts of questions regularly. Dr. Lee and I are sort of, in a way, sort of tag teaming the weeks, meaning that we will be going back and forth. So as you learned in the first session, she was sort of in charge, quote unquote, of session one, which is, we're still in session one, that'll end Wednesday. All that really means is that if you're looking for an answer or feedback on your discussion or whatever, one of us is in charge, quote unquote. Doesn't mean we're not both active somehow, but sometimes, it's like, Daisy, did you answer that? Should I answer it? Whatever. It just makes it easier for you all to be able to get a hold of one of us, especially when it has to do with discussion boards and that sort of thing. Like I said, and we'll go back to session one, our general overview is, for some reason this doesn't open. Waiting for Blackboard. So hold on a second. There we go. Our general practice is that we will give you a video overview, especially if it's one of these rich content weeks, to sort of get you acclimated. Typically in the type of online learning that we do, we're not lecturers. We're not going to have you watch us talk for an hour or two each week, but rather get you acclimated and then involve you in activities that allow you to sort of exercise your knowledge. So there'll always be at least one objective. This just happens to have one. An introduction to the session, Your reading, of course. There may be some videos to watch, like this one is not a video of me or Dr. Lee. It's video from the UK Academy of Medical Sciences. This is you saw this was one of the leaders in our field, Steve Fiore. You might have watched some of that, session assignments, other information. At the end of each week, we like to put something in called Log In and Learn. These are sort of, you know, sort of extracurricular things that is just going to introduce you to resources that are out there about team science. They aren't necessarily always related to an assignment. In fact, they rarely are. What we often recommend, because our sessions go from Thursday to Wednesday, that is not an error. There's a purpose to that. It's so that those of you who really rely on the weekend to sort of get caught up, because everyone here works, it sounds like, it puts that time in the middle of the week, so you can kind of get a little started, get it sort of a start, maybe reading a little bit or whatever, maybe putting a post if you have to post something, and then you really have the meat of your time in the middle of the week, and then later in the week sort of wrap up. We have found this works really well with working professionals, we just find it gives a good rhythm to the courses, and all our THS courses are like this. So as we go into week 2, you'll see it's a very similar, week 2, session 2, very similar format, objectives, session description, that's me this time, notes, readings. We try to always give you prompting questions for the readings so you know what you're supposed to be looking for, or at least we pique your interest so you have some idea of what you should be looking for. And again, there might be some short other resources. And in this case, too, you'll see we provide benchmarks. So the assignment benchmarks are sort of like reminders that, oh, don't forget, in assignment 2, you have some sort of work to do as far as preparing for assignment 2. And you'll see throughout the weeks and the sessions, if you haven't already, we say, oh, this is a good time to look ahead to residency. There's nothing really to do for class. It's just a reminder that you should be thinking ahead. The login and learn for this week upcoming, starting session 2, is actually electronic resources that go with your REPCO book, Stotac and REPCO book. And it's a helpful just sort of online site. So I'm not sure, and I don't want to take a poll really, but you may find that the weeks are a good amount of reading and or work. Either you have to arrange to be in a group, like in session 2. You will be working in groups. Sorry, I should have showed you this before. Way down here, which means you have to reach out to your partners. And it sounds like this group, not unusual, but it seems like we have more West Coast people. So the West Coast and the East Coast people, you'll have to talk to each other and figure out when are good times for you to get together and work. But when you have these group assignments, I always recommend that you try your best to make, contact as soon as possible. It's like, when's going to work for us? Is it going to be 11 o'clock at night because somebody has kiddies that need to go to sleep and they can't work till after that? Do we have a time zone change, et cetera, et cetera? In fact, these are the types of things that are important in all team science, understanding that we are all have different challenges to being able to work with each other, okay? So basically that is the format generally as we go from week to week. You will get announcements from us like you did today saying, oh, I just posted your notes for session 2. You can view it whenever you'd like. Don't get concerned if that comes before the first day of the session. It's just sort of, we're trying to keep ahead. So if you're like, I'm not even done the work from session 1 yet, you're already sending me session 2. Relax, it's okay. It's just there for when you're ready to see it, okay? I know sometimes that can be sort of like someone breathing down your neck. We're ready to move on to session 2. It's simply because we like to give as much time as possible. You might have sort of one of those nights where it's like, ugh, I don't feel like reading anything. Let me watch Dr. L's introduction to session 2, or the opposite, whatever your workflow may be. So I always like to say, as doctoral students, our expectation is that you're investing in your education, meaning this isn't going to be the type of course you find where we're quizzing you, there's tests, we're not going to lecture at you about the reading. We take very seriously that at the doctoral level, your engagement with the material is very much motivated by your interest in doing the work that some of you have already mentioned. So this may be new for some of you, especially if you're a first-year student. As doctoral students, we expect that you're sort of engaging in the material as you shape your own ideas. You certainly bring to the table your background and what's going on in your professional life, and that's invited. That's all part and parcel of how we get through the material in a doctoral course. It's not about quizzes and testing you and that sort of thing. In fact, I always tell the THS students, because I used to be in charge of comps, the only exam you're ever going to have in this program is comprehensive exams. They're truly an examination. Everything else is a learning experience that we, your professors, help you go through so that you can shape your own knowledge base and your own ideas and interests. So that may take a little time, especially if you're a first year THS student, to sort of kind of get into that mode. You may have been in a master's program that wasn't quite like that before going into doctoral studies, but in doctoral studies, we are very much, we take an approach of adult learning, and we allow you to bring what you've been doing all your life, and all of you have had significant careers already, to the material that we are presenting to you. I'm keeping one eye on the clock so I don't go too late. Also in this course, which may be different from other courses you're used to taking, the discussion board activity is relatively low. And there's a reason for that. For the THS students, it's because we have, in your other 2 courses, Complexity Science and Foundations, we are very well orchestrated, those 3 courses, to make sure you always don't have something heavy due all the time. So we've looked at the whole semester and we've tried to parse it out so we don't have sort of these log jams. In this course, you'll see that more of our discussion board activity, quote unquote, happens at the latter part of the semester. Your other courses will either be more front-loaded that way, and I forget which one. I think actually the Complexity Science is more front-loaded, and the Foundations course might be more mid-semester loaded as far as those sorts of activities are concerned. But if you're looking, go, whoa, we don't have discussion boards for quite a while, it's because we have this rhythm with the other 2 courses, okay? And then what else do I want to mention here? It's important that you realize, especially if you're new, that to GW, that nursing, medicine, public health, health sciences, we all have a library that's dedicated to the health sciences broadly, which is at Himmelfarb, and this link takes you there. There's the Himmelfarb Library. We even have a face page here that's all dedicated to translational sciences. However, as all things go, I have found that students who are interested in some of the topics that you have even brought up are also going to want to be able to access library resources that may be more social science oriented or not necessarily completely grounded in health and medicine. So remember, we have quite a larger library. That's the Gelman Library. We sometimes, and I believe wrongly, call it the undergraduate library, but it's really all the social sciences, humanities, et cetera, et cetera. This is the big library. And some of you will need to access that library to be able to do some of the work that I hear you're interested in. But just to keep that in the back of your mind. Daisy, is there anything else we should cover that I'm missing here?
Nothing so far. I did, for those of you who've been following the chat, they've actually indicated that our links weren't working for the video, so I just resent the link, and I'm going to try to fix session 1 as well after. But other than that.
Okay. If there's a good example of if something like that happens, it sometimes happens. Put your question or your whatever. It's like, oh, the video link is not working in the discussion board questions, this general questions board. That way we get it right away, and we take care of it. And that way we can also say, okay, all green. We got it running again. You can go back to viewing your materials. Okay. Now I am going to stop because I want to make sure that we have time to answer questions. If there's anything burning, and so I can see all your faces again, I'm going to stop sharing. So questions, concerns. Are you running for the door? It's all good. If you have a question, just chime on in.
I have a question. This is Michelle. Since we are a mix of THS and nursing PhD candidates, will the residency weekend include all of us?
Yes. Yes, we've coordinated that so it can. Now, honestly, we haven't had this discussion exactly what those hours are for like a week because we've been running around trying to make sure all this works properly, meaning, at one point we didn't even have the right roster and we had to move things around. But yes, we will probably get that schedule out very soon because the nursing students, you also have a residency, and we have to make sure that we coordinate with your residency. Typically, the THS students would be at Virginia, just like you would, all weekend. But both because we're totally virtual now and the fact that we have both programs in the same course, we have to be a little more strict about our scheduling. So we'll get back to you on that. But yes. And Daisy is definitely keeping an eyeball on the nursing schedule. So we'll get it together, I promise.
I have a question.
Sure.
Can you review when the discussion board initial post is due and when the responses are due? Because when we did this last semester with THS, you guys post on very different days than we do. And it's nowhere in the syllabus when all that's been due. So It wasn't real clear even when this first week one was due.
Okay. So it's a good question. We don't really have a set date. We could and say, okay, you should put your first posting by Friday morning or whatever of the week. We find that sometimes works for people, sometimes doesn't work for people, depending on if they're taking another class. You're all taking another class, I believe, right? The nursing students even have another class, right? Yeah. 2 other classes. So you have your 9 credits as well. So I know this might not be the answer you're really looking for. My recommendation is always to post something as early as possible, just so you can sort of get it out there. Now, that doesn't mean, you have to rush through your readings or whatever. And also, don't forget what I said. This particular course is a little discussion board shy for a while. So you're not going to have too much worry about that now. If you're asking what gets you a good grade on participation, like, how quickly are we going to time you that, okay, who's the first poster? We don't have a stopwatch or anything like that. We don't do that. We leave that to you. We realize that not only are you working professionals, you're healthcare professionals, many of you. We know you're responsible. We know you will get your work done. And we also know that you're very good at dealing with a changing landscape. So that was Noelle, right? Noelle, was that the answer? You probably didn't want that answer, but I'm actually giving you all
No, actually, that's not. No, I actually appreciate that answer. Yeah. I'm a more fluid, flexible person anyway. Yeah. So, but most things are due on time. So I just want to make sure.
I understand. Now, that being, yes, who was asking?
That's
Daisy,
me.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So our apologies for the way our weeks line up between THS and School of Nursing, but I believe for our School of Nursing students in the official School of Nursing syllabus, I have noted that we are actually going to try to operate on the Thursday to Wednesday schedule so that we can align with THS. So if that helps at all. I know some of you guys were panicking because our week technically kind of started a couple of days earlier than theirs, but that's why, that's how we've been well, at least on our end, we've been trying to operate. So I think Guy had also mentioned that we will attempt to post by Tuesday or Wednesday for the new week. So, usually around then, if you want to stay on top of your coursework and not fall behind, I would recommend kind of posting before that so that you can get the new material.
Thank you, Daisy. That was very helpful. And of course, the other end of that answer spectrum is it's also not a finish line arrangement where as long as I post by 11:59 on Wednesday, I'm safe. Well, I guess you would be, but I don't think you're going to get any response because everyone else has already started to move on to the next week. So the bottom line answer is we respect the fact that you are motivated doctoral students with very complex lives. You live in different time zones, and we take all this into consideration when we answer that there isn't a due date. No one's keeping a grade book with checks and anything like that. We want to learn. We want you to learn from the course. We want to learn from you, and we want you all to learn from each other. To me, that's good participation in a course like this.
If I may ask a question on the discussion posts, at least speaking for me, I can't speak to everyone else. Team science is a new concept. So as an expert in the field, are you guys going to maybe interact with the discussion post, or at least maybe for the first post or so, let us know for on track or way off track, something along those lines? Just
sure. Daisy? Daisy, you want to speak to that?
Stay on the horse, if you will.
Oh, no, I was going to say, it was the same question I actually had for Dr. Luciano, so I am going to let him address that.
Oh.
We generally do engage, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. This week, meaning session 1, Dr. Lee was leading. And I actually wrote her today. I said, Daisy, you're going to be answering some discussion boards like today before the end of the week, right? And she's actually started, I think. And she will be responding to posts for session 1 because that's her week. We don't want to make this overly complicated, but sometimes instead of having a one-to-one conversation, you'll find that either one of us will sort of encapsulate what's being said, sort of make sense of everyone's thoughts and sort of put it together in sort of an overview that, some people are asking this, some people are asking that, here are some really good points, and here's where some people are not getting it. And so it's not always a one-on-one conversation, but it's more like a group conversation. And since there's many more of you than there are of us, meaning Daisy and I, we will be responding at different times of the week. So generally, for instance, yes?
I was going to ask, is that a new post within that discussion board so we're all kind of aware that it's there? Or?
So when you go into any particular discussion board, like this week, good example, so session 1, you had some stuff you had to do, 1, 2, 3, right? You can start your own thread. It does not have to be one continuous thread. Actually, that often can be really overwhelming, we find. So if you start your own thread, and then usually, the expectation is make sure you check in with a couple other people. This course is a little larger than we would normally hold because it's both programs together. So, typically we want you to be able to check in on a couple other people, just to sort of exchange ideas. If you want to check in on every thread, that's great. But we do know it's a large group, and you can't have a one-on-one conversation with everybody, because that just, your whole learning experience would be answering discussion threads, and that's really not the way I want you to spend most of your time. Okay.
And Mina, going back to your specific questions about whether you're on point or not, what Guy had been mentioning is we're not going to be able to respond one-on-one to every single post, but we will respond, to a couple of you guys each week that we're in charge of. And especially if we notice that you're off course, that's especially when we will kind of pull you guys back in and make, like an overall note to everyone or something. But, for the most part, especially for week 1, when it's introductions and all of that, most of the time there's not too much.
Right. We're down to a couple minutes left, and I actually decided we would not go through this because it would take up a lot of time, but it is an important aspect, is your assignments, of course. So when you read your assignments, and I would recommend reading through all of them at the beginning of the semester now. Think about what questions you may have. In some cases, you may need to ask a lot of questions regarding what it is you really we want you to do. But one in particular, and I'm going to go back to sharing here, and when you all get back to Dr. McDonald's class, you can blame it on me. Dr. McDonald and I are classmates, so sometimes we just yell at each other, so just blame it on me if you're late. It's assignment 2. You'll see, can everyone see this? So assignment 2 is one of the cornerstone assignments of this course, where what we want you to do is observe a problem-solving team. Now, in the age of COVID, you're going to be observing somehow virtually, but this actually is going to take a little planning. And that was that benchmark that we put, you'll see in session 2, thinking ahead. Okay, I want to see if I can identify a group, a team that's working on some sort of problem that's their goal is knowledge production in one way or another. You might need to do some sort of sniffing around for the right group, talk to some colleagues, talk to some friends or whomever might be available to help you satisfy this assignment. This assignment's going to take a little sort of coordinating on your part. But since we're running out of time, I'm going to ask everyone to please read through all your assignment descriptions now, earlier in the semester. Those questions that you're going to ask, you're going to post where? Where are you going to post your questions?
The general questions in the discussion.
Very good. That was your first quiz. Yeah, post them there. That way other people can hear the answers. So if someone asks, just like class, if you ask a question, everyone gets the same answer. And of course, we will be prepping you as we get closer to starting to launch those assignments. And then the last thing I wanted to say is if you're having any trouble accessing the readings, as you probably have noted, everything just about is free to you through some vehicle, either the library or I think my book is ebook as well as in the library and someplace else. The federal documents are federal. Your tax dollars pay for them. They're free as well. But if you have any trouble accessing that stuff, look at it sooner in the semester so we can fix the problem than a day before you're supposed to read something. So I guess what I'm saying is play with all the buttons, the links, and everything in the course. If there are problems, we have no problem hearing from you. Hey, Dr. L, there are 2 different dates listed for this assignment. Tell us. That's perfectly okay. We definitely want to be able to fix that. It's completely fine to correct something that we've done. Again, this is an adult environment. Dr. Lee and I are learners as well. We're going to learn from each other, and that's the type of class I hope we have, where we have a really good time learning about team science and the science of team science, and hopefully getting some of you in year 1 scrambled enough in your brains to say, I'm not sure I know what I want to research anymore. That's okay. All the second-year students, they'll give you some helpful feedback when it comes to that. So Very exciting. I don't want to make the THS students late for their next session. I'm more than happy to stay on with the nursing students if you have no place to go, if you have any more questions. So tell Dr. McDonald it's my fault you're late, and she'll probably make a joke. Maybe, I hope. Okay? Have a good evening and good luck with your next session.
Have a great session.
Thank you very much.
Sure thing. Oh, we'll also, this will be posted because we've been recording.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sure. See you later. Bye-bye. Nursing folks, do we need to talk about anything? You don't have to stay. I was just making ourselves available. Anything?
Did you guys find any discrepancy between the latest version that the School of Nursing circulated with what's posted on Blackboard? I think I spent a lot of time trying to make sure the dates align, but if not,
yeah,
let me know.
It seems to be much better than it was, a week ago.
Yeah, we sort of discovered things as we went. It was like, oh, wait a second, that's not right. Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, full disclosure, what was it, a week and a half ago, where I forget who, was it Mira or you or Daisy, saying, our classes are 13 weeks. And I went, they are? They're like, I ever know that? Like, because I spoke with our program director who's retiring, Mary Corcoran. I said, did you know that? And she goes, no. I said, well, apparently neither did I. So we were up to a week and a half ago sort of making it sort of all fit. So apologize for that. It's been a little bit tricky.
Well, and if any of us seemed like we were hyperventilating about it, we got barely a week between summer and fall. And then when one of us noticed that it was 16 weeks, we were like, oh my gosh, we can't do it again. We need that whole December. We need December. We need a break.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, you know what, I like I said, full disclosure, completely get it. We have the same problem spring into summer because our students go for 15 weeks. They literally have like a day free, then they take comps, and 2 days after comps, they're in summer session. So I get it. I completely get it. So bear with us. This is a new experiment for us. I remember Christine Pintz coming to see me in my office like 6 years ago or something. I can't remember when it was. She goes, we want our students to take your course. I'm like, great. I'm all for it. And quite frankly, it took all this time for the powers that be to figure it all out. So I'm so glad you're all here. Please tell us if something isn't working. And by the way, part of the reason why it gets complicated is because in our program in THS, all 3 courses are like completely woven together. So we even have some assignments that count for more than one course. And we had to sort of untangle some of that so that you could successfully do this course without having to take complexity science and foundations. We sort of had to rethink some things. You're going to be our test case. You can tell us how this works out.
For your qualitative class this semester, is it 13 weeks or 15?
Qualitative class, it was 13.
Oh.
It was 13, so they did bring it down.
Right, because all of our summer classes are 13. That's why I think no one thought about it. It's like, oh, well, it went so great in the summer, we should be fine in the fall. And I don't think it dawned on anyone. It's like, well, we just happen to have 13-week courses in the summer. You always have 13-week courses. And that's when a week and a half ago we went, okay, does everyone leave me alone for a couple hours? I'll figure this out.
And he did, so it worked out.
Yeah, but I remember speaking, you all know Christine, I'm sure, Pence, yeah. She said, we really want opportunities for the nursing students to interact with other professions, people who have other interests, other disciplines, and that really is the penultimate goal here. I've been involved in interprofessional training and interdisciplinary work my entire adult career, and this is great. As you can see, our cohort tends to be very diverse, but it's great to have all of you together. Makes for a little messier of a class because it's large, but we'll make it work. Okay.
And did you guys have any questions about the assignments while we we have Dr. Lutriciano on the call, I guess.
I have a question about assignment 2. So, well, I guess it goes for assignment 1 as well, but assignment 2, so we're supposed to be identifying a team to observe. Can it be a team that we're currently working with, or does it need to be a team that we're not familiar with?
Yeah, it's a good question. It can be a team that you have some connection with. Usually what I say is it's really up to you if you think you can do this without sort of, looking at yourself. Like there's a lot of different ways to do this. I mean, if this were normal life, you wouldn't even necessarily be doing it virtually. But of course, we are in a virtual world right now. So probably the possibilities are less, because we're probably talking about team meetings or some sort of Zoomy sort of thing. Although once you get into the material, you'll see that's not even necessary, especially if you're going to look at, say, their communications, their emails, their policies, their whatever. It doesn't have to be this way, but certainly it's likely. So it has to be some way that you can interject. And for some of you, that may mean some team that you're part of. This is not, I don't call this research with a big R. It's sort of like eavesdropping. You'll say to the group, I have an assignment for my crazy team science class that I have to, sort of, observe a team. And I'm thinking about, I want to look at power relationships or something. Do you mind if I sit in on your, that might not have been a good example, but do you mind if I sit in and, sort of take some notes, think about what I've learned in the course? I don't even cover this with any sort of protocol or anything. It's just sort of a shake hand. I'm a student, I'm learning, I have an assignment that I have to do, sort of thing. So, of course, at one point we will ask you to sort of share with us what you have in mind, and we'll give you a little bit more individualized feedback.
Okay. And then also on team related, for assignment 1, are we breaking ourselves up into 4 groups, or are you guys breaking us up in those 4 groups?
Should be.
Oh, you're broke. You'll see it's coming if you look at the sessions ahead. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In fact, groups up till a couple days ago were still shoddy because we had people coming in and out, and somebody didn't matriculate. And I was like, I have to do all the groups all over again. But I think it's settled down now.
Okay.
We put you in groups. In fact, that particular assignment, we purposely assigned you groups so that you would interact with people that you typically don't. For the just of your own interest, the THS program, we actually do personality profiling at orientation, and we put different learner groups together, meaning we have a diversity of learning styles ending up in the groups. Of course, this is where you lose out a little bit because you're not part of that, that system that we have in THS. But we wanted to make sure all of you had at least some time to interact with people who are not from the nursing program. And then later in the semester, near the end, you'll see you're back in your nursing groups again. And that's simply because the wicked problems that the other people are working on, they would have been working on throughout their other courses. So you wouldn't have had that exposure. So you'll see when you flip forward to the end, you're back sort of in your own group, because that's really the only way to do it. Okay?
Sounds good.
But you will never foul by asking a question, I promise, because this, like I said, this is sort of our test case on this course. So how about anyone else?
A silly observation on the groups that you assigned. I noticed that one of the groups has 2 nursing students and one of the groups has no nursing students.
It was very random. Now we can change it. It was very random. Actually, it probably was because once we started to lose some of the students, I was just flipping things around, and I didn't really give it that much mental thought. It was like, oh, wait a second, this group has 3 now, and this one has like 5, and something like that. But
I mean, I'm not complaining. It was an observation.
No. Well, which list is this that you're referring to?
It's in week 2.
The week 2 one?
Let me go.
The week 2 list.
Yeah, Noelle and Dustin are in the same
Me and
group.
Dustin, and then last name Wembo.
Let me take a look here.
Oh, yep. Yeah.
And then I think it's group 2 doesn't have
a nursing one, right?
A nursing.
Yep.
Do we want to change that? We can. I can do it right now. Okay. So I'm in the Blackboard right now. So let's see. So which group did you say we had, both of you?
Group 5. Group 5 has 2 nursing students.
Yeah. Harrier and
McKeag.
Oh, is it McKeag?
It's with a G, not a Q, right, Sarah?
Oh, that's
yeah,
why.
McKeag. Yeah.
That's why I'm saying McKeag. Okay, McKeag. There we go. Okay, let's do.
Now that really takes us out of our comfort zone. We don't get to work with each other at all.
I know. And then I felt kind of bad
will.
because Dustin and I were together, and I'm like, well, that's not really fair.
Okay, so which group doesn't have a nursing student?
Group 2.
Oh, okay. Whoops, sorry about that.
Maybe move Wong down.
Yes, we can. That's exactly what I'll do. And hopefully no one's made dates yet, but that's okay.
I really hope they're not moving that far ahead.
Well, and I didn't want to freak them out by sending that email.
I got an email from my group.
Already.
There you go.
Yeah.
I just updated it. No, actually, honestly, we're probably having a little slower start, and it's because we weren't able to have our full orientation over the summer. So the THS students, and this would be a little unusual, are probably a little greener than green in these first couple weeks, because we would have spent an entire weekend together in July, and they decided that for a first inoculation, full weekend on Zoom was like not the best idea. So I think they're going to have sort of orientation part B on October 1st. So I think we're getting started a little slower than we normally would, only because people are getting to know each other and figure out where people live, and you'll see. I mean, you have this experience because you're second year. Some people are going to be meeting at 11 o'clock at night because someone's on the West Coast. The kiddies need to go to bed at 7:30. Can we meet after that? All that good stuff. But this is good teamwork to be sensitive to everyone's different needs. So, but like I said, I'm really excited about this. I've been looking forward to it for like 6 years. I'm also looking forward to exploring some of, or at least hearing what more of your research interests are. And you may find by taking this course that there's some things from the team science world that might enter into your own interests for research. And though Daisy and I have not really talked about it much yet, because we've been sort of doing a lot of administrative work, there's a lot of opportunity because of the fields that she and I both live in for some cross sort of program engagement, especially in the area of dissertation work and that sort of thing. So, this is just the beginning of what we hope grows into a really good synergy between our two programs. And once everything's back to normal, we could sit out on the patio at at Virginia, because we're both there. Right now, we sort of have to do this scheduling gymnastics, Okay. Anything else? Any questions? No? Okay. Well, like I said, looking forward to it. Thank you for your time. Post questions when they come to. Daisy, anything you want to add, or while you have everyone here? Well, we have most everyone.
I think we got a lot of the questions they had clarified, so that was helpful, especially the deadline one. For a lot of them, I knew it was going to come up. You guys have my emails, huh?
We're used to it.
I know you are, and I absolutely know you are. I know you are. In fact, our master's programs, which we have many master's programs, we're very much like that. We've made a very conscious decision that our PhD program, we wanted to run a little bit differently. We didn't want to be saturated with this sort of, I don't know how to explain it, this sort of obsession, if that's the right word, with every week I need to do a discussion board. What we found was there's much more interesting ways to engage. But still with our master's programs, we're much more like that. Please post by Tuesday so that your second post comes by Thursday or Friday, whatever. We do that in health sciences too. But we want you to be more in charge of your own time and the way you use your time at this level.
And that's the reality of research anyway. So.
Yeah, that's the reality.
Well, and we appreciate that, because we've certainly given feedback about the weekly discussion boards that were kind of like, so we all posted exactly the same thing, and then we didn't.
Right,
and then
exactly,
we went in and we read just the number of posts that we had to read so that we could respond. And is there learning that occurred? Actually, I really appreciated this week that you had us critique our own, like read this, write
and then
this,
stop, and then
stop,
critique your own, right?
read again, and then go back and critique. I thought, oh, this makes, this is a slightly different learning exercise, and I got more out of it than just going in and, okay, I've got to get three responses.
Right. And what I have found, not that technique has no merit, what I find is that technique turns what you're supposed to be doing into a task. It's like, well, what I'd much rather you do is have an in-depth conversation with someone about something that you're interested in that is related to the course content. And maybe, and you know what, we still have phones, we still have Zoom, like everything doesn't need to go to the discussion board. I mean, I'm not critiquing that technique, it has its place. Here, what we want to do is really develop you into motivated researchers. That's why you're doing a PhD. That's why you're doing it. And if you want to get on the phone, Sarah, with Anna Lynn, get on the phone and talk to her and, make a friend. And, you may have a much stronger relationship with one other person in the course than you do with the other, other 5 in your program. It's just meant to be a more adult learning sort of situation. I hope that works. And when it doesn't, I'm sure you'll tell us.
Yes.
And we want you to. We want you to. If you haven't figured out, I'm really quite easygoing. I can pretty much hear whatever you have to say in criticism and praise, and I appreciate both.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Guys,
all right.
Good evening.
Yes, have a nice evening, or it's early for some of you. A lot of West Coasters in this group, Daisy. We're going to have to keep an eye on that.
I saw that. But in this group, is it just Noelle that's on the?
No, Dustin.
And
Dustin,
right?
Poor Dustin right now is running from forest fires.
Yeah, we had a couple. Yeah, right. And that's something else we're going to have to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah.
We had a couple people from THS missing too. So it happens. Oh, I just realized we recorded this whole thing. That's okay. All right. Have a nice evening, and I look forward to engaging with you. All right.
Bye. Thank you.
Good thing. Bye-bye.